Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Flavor and Fiction. So the category this time for my 2019 reading challenge was a book from a non-human perspective. And I chose to do The One and Only Ivan by, is it Katherine Applegate? Yeah. And this was a really great book. It's a children's book, and it's about this, it's from the viewpoint of a gorilla, a sideshow gorilla named Ivan, who was captured when he was really young. And at first he was brought to like the circus owner's home. And of course, like a gorilla would, he tore the place up and the wife was like, "You got to get this thing out of here." So he abandoned it. And it's been with this sideshow guy for many years, and he's having a hard time now that he's getting older remembering his youth and his family. And he decides to focus on the friends and family he has now, because trying to think of those memories are too painful anyway. And he has friends in the sideshow. He has a wise old elephant named Stella. He has this snarky know-it-all dog named Bob, who's not really part of the sideshow. He comes and goes. He's just like this little zippy dog who ends up being his eyes and ears for things outside of the sideshow. And he has Julia, who is the night janitor's daughter, who comes in, and when she's doing her homework, she'll draw pictures of him and sneak him snacks through this little hole in the glass of his little viewing area. So he chooses to just focus on the here and now and to just get by his day to day and not worry about being free anymore or thinking about his family anymore. Sad, I know. So you would think that the special ingredient today would be banana because it was mentioned a lot. But one of his favorite treats was when someone brought him a huge pile of strawberries. So I decided we're going to do strawberries as our special ingredient. Initially, I saw these really fancy strawberry cupcakes on Pinterest. They were beautiful. Look at them. And then I saw that I needed food coloring and strawberry puree and all this stuff. And I was like, it's too much. So we're going to do the next best thing. Okay, are you guys ready for this? This is what we're making. Ta-da! We're going to take this Betty Crocker strawberry cake mix and we're going to make some good old-fashioned strawberry cupcakes with my favorite rainbow chip icing. This is what my mom would make. We used to have strawberry cupcakes with this icing for like birthdays, taking it into class and stuff. So today's no different. I'm just taking it into work. To line the cupcake tin so I can make these cupcakes, and I'll let you see them before I put them in the oven. I just set the oven to 325, so now we can finish talking about Ivan. So I'm now about to line our cupcake tin with these little cupcake liners, and I set the oven to 425, and I'll let you see them before I put them in the oven. But let's get back to talking about our poor friend Ivan. So one of the things that really frustrates Ivan is that he can see the poster advertising him across the street. But the gorilla on the poster looks like some wild, angry, vicious beast when he considers himself to be a sweet, almost humanized gorilla because he lived with humans for so long. But he takes solace in that he's right next to his best friend, Stella, the elephant. But he's noticing that Stella is not doing so well lately. She is chained by the foot, and the area where the chain is starting to look worse and worse. So he's getting a little worried for her. Stella keeps insisting that she's fine, and the sideshow owner, Mac, he doesn't want to shell out the money to take her to a doctor, or to bring in a doctor rather. Julia, the janitor's daughter, is noticing that Ivan is looking sadder and sadder. And one day while she's there painting a picture of him, she notices that he's looking at her drawing, and she wonders to herself if maybe he would like to draw. So she slides some paper and crayon, and he ends up making these really ugly drawings, but he's enjoying it. He's loving it. And so she keeps doing it, and over time he gets better and better, and he hides the drawing because he doesn't want to get in trouble. But when he's eventually discovered by Mac decides, wait a minute, this is a good money-making scheme. We can sell pictures, drawn by the gorilla. So that brings in more people, and more people tapping on the glass and, flashing in his eyes, and he just can't stand it. So he pretends that he's not doing it anymore. But then Mac becomes a little forceful about it. One day he gets so riled up that he pounds the glass and kind of cracks it. And that inner gorilla, that inner wild animal, seems to come out of him a little bit, and he seems to start tasting freedom again, dreaming of freedom. But he doesn't want to leave his best friends. So one day something exciting happens. A baby elephant shows up. I think her name was Ruby. I honestly can't remember. But a baby elephant shows up, and she's scared, and Stella kind of, latches onto her, and he's not thinking about what this means. But he knows that Stella is sick, and they start to train the elephant, and they have this long claw stick that they use to show her who's boss, I guess. And she won't perform the way she's expected to perform. It takes a long time, and she suffers a lot. And it's really, for a children's book, but then again, I guess a lot of children's stories are really sad. At least this one is kind of based in reality a little bit, unfortunately. So Stella, who's feeling more and more sick, one night asked Ivan to make her a pledge to always take care of Ruby, or whoever the baby elephant is. And he knows what's coming. And in the midst of his sorrow, he promises, and he later regrets it. What am I supposed to do with this baby elephant? Because in the midst of his sorrow, he promised that she be free. So now he doesn't know what to do. And correction, he didn't say he would set her free, back to the wild. What he promised was that he would get her to a zoo, as opposed to this sideshow, because a zoo is where, as they describe it, a place where humans make amends, where humans take care of animals. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that statement, but compared to a sideshow, I guess a zoo would be the place to be. So he has to devise a way to make this happen. But first, he has to get his spirit right, because he has lost hope and the will to break free. And I'm sorry, these cupcakes, they're so cute. So now he has to remember what it was like to care and to have hope and to actually want to fight. So he has to get his gorilla back, basically, in order to keep his promise. So he very cleverly devises a plan. He uses his artwork. He considers himself an artist now. He uses the artwork to bring in much needed attention. And he finds a way to communicate with Julia through the artwork. And Julia, being a smart young girl, and we know that children seem to be more in tune with animals sometimes, and just being able to listen. So she's able to understand pretty much what he's saying. And they devise this plan to get media attention to the sideshow through the artwork. So eventually, when a news crew shows up, Ivan shows out. The claw stick that the owner uses on Ruby, Ivan finds a way for the media to find it. And once they see the deplorable conditions of this sideshow, there's this whole movement to shut it down and send all the animals to a zoo. I mean, is that beautiful or what? I think this book is really mainly about, I can't even say the triumph of the human spirit because it's a gorilla, but I still think that people will be able to very much relate to this. I think the moral of the story is that we all seem to accept mediocrity at some point, because when you don't get to achieve your dreams, you start to lose hope. And when you lost what you once had, sometimes you don't feel like what you once were. And I think Ivan is the perfect example of that. It takes effort and courage to build hope back up. Okay, here's what they look like going in. Let's cross our fingers. I gotta hurry up and get to work. So looking at the time, this is so bad, but I'm gonna have to ice them at work. Just because you're supposed to wait till they cool down a little bit because you don't want the icing getting all melty all over it. I didn't manage my time too well this morning. But that's fine. I'm sure I can get someone to help me and to taste test them at work. So we'll see what happens. The book is actually going to be made into a movie. It may be this year. It's supposed to have Bryan Cranston. I think he's like the bad guy, kind of like the sideshow owner. Angelina Jolie, not sure who she is. And Danny DeVito. Oh, I think he's the bad guy. That's what it is. Bryan Cranston is the janitor, the nice guy. And Danny DeVito is the bad guy. It's going to be interesting. But I'm sure if it's as heartfelt as the book, it's going to be great. You want to stop frosting? Never stop frosting. No. So here's what they look like, folks. Thanks to Margaret's help. Okay, here we go. Cheers. Rainbow cake. And we'll go. Good job, Rhonda. I'm a genius. Thank you, Betty Crocker. And thank you out there for joining us for another episode of Flavor Fiction.
Follow LeVar Burton on Twitter.